was horrified to see what a person she had become. He was suffering from the disease and was already in pain. It had hurt him when Tina had insulted him today. After dealing with Tina, I went to talk to him. I wanted to apologize to my sister and make it up to him in some way. I went to his study where he was drafting his will. I said, drafting his will. I said,
Josh, you don't have to take Tina's words to heart. She's an idiot and doesn't know what she is saying. Her friends, her bens have been influencing her a lot. Just what she did today was horrible. I hope you won't be rewarding her by giving her the money she wants. I think I may just have the right plan for that, and I think you will like that a lot.
Me and Josh discussed the plan I had in mind. I really did want to teach Tina a lesson and make her feel a little less entitled. Also, I wanted Josh and myself to get some revenge as well. Josh seemed very receptive to my idea since it lined up with his plans about the money and the mansion. So we went about putting our plan in motion. Tina had no idea it was about to hit her. This part will be a little hard for me to type. My uncle Josh passed away just a year after his diagnosis. We tried our best to give him a painless death. He suffered, but we helped him deal with the pain a bit. I was with him till his last breath. Tina was out partying and going on vacation as usual. It boggles my mind how she even afforded those vacations. I didn't have time to ponder over that. Josh was my primary concern. His death left a gaping hole in my heart. It was just as bad as when my parents had died. I hope he is in a better place with them in heaven. When I called Tina to inform her about Josh's passing, I was hit with another shock. Tina seemed to be very nonchalant about the news. She emmed and hummed on the news and said, "So as you know, I'm in the midst of a vacation. I can't really help you right now. I will definitely show up for the funeral and the reading of the will. Why don't you just text me the dates and all? Tina, I need you here right now. Josh has passed away. We are the only family he had left. You are the only family I has. I need your help. I can't arrange everything on my own."
Oh, please. Vegetable, you've always been the best organizer. And, like I said, I can't help you. I think you will manage just fine. Just send me the dates and that's it.
After talking to her, I was furious again, and I realized that I didn't have a sister anymore either. She did show up to the funeral, but was only interested in the reading of the will. Josh had left her $2 million while he left me the house. Reading of the will, Josh had left her $2 million while he left me the house. Tina walked up to me with a satisfied smirk on her face. And here I was, hoping that she would come to offer condolences and express her grief. But I had forgotten how heartless my sister had become. She came to me and said, to come to offer condolences and express her grief. But I had forgotten how heartless my sister had become.
So, Josh did listen to our demands, didn't he? He split the assets just like we wanted.
Oh, so you are here to talk about inheritance. I made the mistake of thinking you are here to express your sadness or something. You are just happy he gave you what you wanted. Good to know. Tina, I feel bad for you, sis. First look at me. I've got such a huge amount of money in my inheritance. Meanwhile, you're stuck with an old and wrecked mansion. Gosh, what would it cost now? To take $250,000? You should not have wasted your money on that old place. I looked at Tina for some time before bursting into laughter. Tina looked taken aback by my reaction. She expected me to sulk and get jealous of her inheritance. She saw that none of that happened. Instead, I was laughing my butt off at her words. Tina was getting pissed at me and said,
Why the hell are you laughing? What did I say wrong?
"Oh my god. Tina, do you think I inherited an old and wrecked mansion? You must be out of your mind. When was the last time you visited the house?"
Well, I've never been there except once. Why should I set foot in that place again? It is a wreck, so it doesn't interest me. You know I like new and shiny things. Who would want to visit a ruined house?
I think you should come along with me and check it out once. Who knows, maybe you're in for a big surprise. You haven't been to the house in 4 years after all.
That ruined house won't impress me. June, you might be running after its nostalgic value, but that doesn't impress me. I like my stuff modern and flashy.
I will be going there to close a sale on the house tomorrow. You can simply tag along and take a last look at it once. I convinced Tina to accompany me to the mansion the next day. At first, Tina was a little reluctant to tag along, but her curiosity got the best of her. I would have taken her along anyway. I've been waiting for this day when Tina would finally see the house after so many years. Once that happens, my revenge against my greedy and entitled sister will be complete. Tina and I drove over to the mansion the very next day. Tina was kind of disinterested in seeing the house. She was convinced that there was no way a broken-down mansion would compare to her immense wealth of $2 million. Oh wait, it was less than that, since the first thing she did was buy designer purses. Don't get me wrong, I like my luxury bags as well, but Tina had no sense of investing money to preserve her fortune. That is one of the reasons why she was so naive about the mansion when we finally reached. When we finally reached the mansion, Tina looked shell-shocked.
My God! June, what is this place? That looks straight out of a magazine. God! I wish I could have a mansion like this.
You were offered half of this mansion, Tina. You straight away rejected it and acted like you were offended that Josh even dared to make this offer.
What nonsense! June, Josh had never offered me a beautiful mansion like this. You must have intentionally hidden this mansion from me so that I can't claim my share. I always knew you had ulterior motives for being near Josh.
Your mind really does think in the worst way possible. I guess me and Josh failed to turn you into a decent human being. Anyway, you have been to this mansion before. I know. I didn't hide anything from you. This is our grandfather's old house.
No, that is impossible. It was in ruins when I saw the mansion. It had a horribly overgrown lawn with paint chipping off all over. It didn't even come close to this place.
I looked at Tina to take in her stupidity in full form. When Tina was slowly becoming a horrible woman, I was hurt to lose my sister. So now, I feel nothing but pity for her. I knew people with a mindset like Tina would never be truly happy in life. I didn't want my sister to be unhappy, but I did want to teach her a lesson. If you had really considered Josh's feelings and helped him remodel the mansion, you would not be here shaking your head in disbelief. You were stupid enough to run after flashy things that you missed how beautiful the old mansion could become.
I had no freaking idea it would be this good. It should cost way more than what I had received in my inheritance. This is your fault. That's June. You should have convinced me better.
There is no use blaming me. Enough. I did my best to change your mind, but you never listened to me. This is what happens when you become an entitled and greedy person with no regard for people's advice. Just then, a luxurious car pulled up to the mansion. A few people came out of the car and shook hands with me. We went into the mansion together, and Tina was even more impressed when she saw the interiors. The designers did a great job in handling everything perfectly. I could tell that Tina was starting to tear up. When she heard how much the house was worth, she started to have a meltdown. She couldn't believe that I got $6 million for the mansion. I excused my buyers and let my agent handle the rest of the formalities. Then, I walked over to my sister and said,
There is no use crying about this now. Lena, I'm sure you now regret not listening to me. Too bad that it is too late for you.
Why can't you just share the proceeds of the sale with me? This is very unfair that you got such a nice place while I was left with scraps.
You are the one who chose the scraps. Well, since we have already started this conversation, let me tell you what happened. Josh always had plans to renovate the house, but due to his health, he couldn't oversee the work himself. He wanted us to help him out, and in return, he was ready to give us the mansion in an even split. But you took one look at it and insulted his childhood house. Then you stupidly told him to give you money when he dies.
But, I had no idea he had so little money. I thought I would get more. That's why I gave you full ownership of the house. I didn't think this place was worth anything.
That's where you messed up. In your greed to get the best pick, you chose the wrong option. Josh did have a lot of money, but he had always intended to use most of it to renovate this place. So it was an easy decision for him after you showed your ungrateful side.
At that point, Tina realized how stupid she had been. All this while she was chasing an empty purse, while the real stuff lay right before her eyes. Suddenly, she started to beg me to share half of the money with her. I gently reminded her that she made it clear our inheritances won't be shared. She promised not to help me in my need, and I was doing the same for her. When she started to throw tantrums, I had to drive her back to her place. It was a tough job to get her out of the car, but I managed it. What followed next was a mountain of calls and texts from Tina. She alternated between demanding and begging me to split the proceeds of the sale. Remember how she was boasting about several vacations and parties she had planned? Well, she was doing it all in debt. Now that she has received her inheritance, the debtors were pestering her for money. You won't believe it, guys, but this woman has a debt of $1 million with $50,000 on credit card dues. I was stunned to hear the figures. Turns out, she had been having a luxurious lifestyle for the past year in the hope that she would get a big inheritance. She had no idea that the numbers would be so low for her. Now she didn't know what to do with the debts she collected. Tina was left with very little money after she had to pay off her debtors. She tried her best to live a life on the remaining money. Yes, she still didn't want to work. It lasted her 2 years before she was back begging at my door. I again reminded her of our deal and shut the door in her face. I've no idea where she is or what she's doing. She never cared about me, cared about me and used me for her needs. There was no way I was keeping any contact with her. If you want to know about my life, let me tell you. I bought a beautiful but cozy bungalow with some of the money. The rest I invested in various things as Josh had told me. I'm doing very well for myself and still work because I don't want to meet the same end as Tina under any circumstances. Also, I'm now engaged and all set to marry next fall. Wish me luck so that I can start my new life with lots of love and happiness. Hi guys, my name is Winter. I've been reading some crazy mother-in-law stories that I could relate to. Just like some of these stories, my life was also almost ruined by my husband Cade and mother-in-law Pauline. My sister-in-law, on the other hand, became my friend and confidant. I will tell you how I avoided being stuck paying for my mooching husband and mother-in-law. I married Cade very recently, actually. Sadly for us, the marriage didn't last long. Now that I know his real face, I consider it a blessing in disguise. For you see, I am a girl who's hungry for love. Cade understood that and gave me all his affection. Since we both had stable jobs, we decided to get married around 2 years after dating. Yes, I know we rushed it, but I had no idea how fake Cade's love was for me. When I married him, I thought he had a stable job like me. After our marriage, I was hit with a horrible truth. Cade said,
Ranger, it's fun now, married. I think you should know something. I've been hiding the secret from you.
Wait, what are talking about? Cows, Ricardos? You are scaring me.
It's Gansy Aversize. Benjam, Wittiki's first fragmenter. I have been lying about my job to you for a while. Remember the laugh about last job I had? I got laid off just before we got married.
Why? Laughter in the barge. Why would you tell me anything? Why did some do us? I thought you were not contributing to our expenses because you had some debt before our marriage.
No, Winter. Etta Hagnosnin. I should have told you this sooner, but I was ashamed. In my family, men who can't provide are looked down upon, so I didn't want anyone to know. Promise me you won't tell anyone.
I was a little miffed by the fact that Cade waited so long to tell me. I should have seen those red flags and saved myself, but I was naive. I decided to support him while he looked for a new job. Well, he didn't start looking even 6 months into our marriage. What was worse was the fact that I was also stuck paying his mother, Pauline, a monthly allowance. Now, let me tell you something. This woman is horrible. She treats other women like shit and always thought I was a gold digger. She made her thoughts very clear publicly and seized all chances to humiliate me. It didn't help that Cade never stopped her. It was his sister Kylie who stood up for me. One day, she told me in private, Winter, you are a nice woman, but I don't think my brother deserves you. My family doesn't have the best people.
Well, what do you Again, Extra's territory is not its. So far, I've found everyone to be pretty decent.
They are not good people. The twin. They will never appreciate you since you are a woman. I've gone through this, thanks, I know. Look at me. Hitched Winter.
Kylie's words were very true. Pauline did tend to put down women and praise her son for everything. I'd always wondered how she would feel when she knew that I was the one paying for her expenses. I never knew back then that I would get to witness her reaction firsthand, and in the process I would also see what a vile person Cade is. It all started at a family dinner which I was invited to. There were a lot of people on Cade's side, and we were having a lot of fun. But what my husband did at the dinner made me absolutely speechless. He was telling everyone that he was the breadwinner of the family. I would have accepted it if he had stopped at that. But he started to make fun of me and make up lies about me. He told how I made very little money and made him pay for my luxuries. Everyone was laughing with him while he portrayed me to be a gold digger.
See, I was right about her all along. Winter is nothing but a mooch. Thank God my son is such a hard worker. It's too bad he is set on doing charity for his wife.
What can I say, Mom? You know, son, you're such a generous man. I think that's why Winter married me. But she can't take care of her expenses to save her life. I wonder what would have become of her if I wasn't here. She would have ended up homeless and on the street anyway. I would say that she would deserve it. Those people like her absolutely need to get punished for being lazy, so listen.
I was stunned to hear what Cade and Pauline were saying about me. I knew that Pauline always hated me, but the betrayal coming from Cade was too much for me to handle. I was stunned to hear what Cade and Paulina were saying about me. I knew that Paulina always hated me, but the betrayal coming from Cade was too much for me to handle. I seriously couldn't believe what he had said. Not only had he lied about being the breadwinner, but also he made fun of me. I was almost starting to tear up from the pain. It was Kylie who decided to put a stop to the conversation. She said, "You two are being unnecessarily cruel on Winter. She's a great person and a hardworking woman. She doesn't deserve your horrible words. You should apologize to her, guys. Why the hell will we apologize to her? We're just telling the truth. She should be the one apologizing for being such a parasite. God, I can't believe my son literally has a pet for his wife. Winter can't even support herself."
Like I said, she is lucky to have me. This man should take care of their women. Cause next for brace, as women tend to be very dependent on men. It's only natural that her would act this way. Wills. He is woman after all.
Kate and Paulina started to laugh at their own jokes. Even Kylie couldn't digest the poison they were spewing. Since she was a hardworking woman herself, these comments also hurt her a lot. It broke her heart to see her mom praise Cade just because he's a man. Meanwhile, I was starting to get over my hurt and instead felt red-hot anger. I literally sacrificed my time and money to look after these two ungrateful idiots. I couldn't recognize Cade anymore. I was furious but refrained from yelling at him then and there. Cade and Paulina continued their jokes until I was sick and tired of it. I had to fake a headache to leave the family dinner sooner. Cade seemed a little disappointed since Paulina and a few other people were encouraging him. When we returned home, I finally screamed at Cade. I said, "What the hell did you want to establish today? Why were you saying those things about me? I am not a parasite who lives off you. It's you who doesn't work anymore."
Look on, God. Winter, just Winter. You need to chill out. It's not even that deep. As you know, the men in my family like to be a little macho. It would not do me good if people knew that I was unemployed.
Oh, you had to go out of your way to paint me as a parasite. But you couldn't, huh? Just lie about your job. You put me down in front of the whole family to satisfy your ego. Now you justify this. Because Kylie story. Under me. Act. Praise birds. Praise.
You're being way too dramatic today. Clash for worship appers for crawled / trude. Just cover sponsors. Or to let things go. You're spoiling all my fun. Now calm down and go back to sleep. It's been a long night.
No, absolutely not. You? I'm not gonna pretend that I was okay with what you did today. Al, did you even hear what their mother said? Instead of defending me, you joined. Or burst out.
No, absolutely not. I am not going to pretend that I was okay with what you did today. Hell, did you even hear what your mother said? Instead of defending me, you joined Pauline in humiliating me even more.
Leave my mother off this is macho. You are the one who can't take some jokes and harmless teasing. You're simply blaming us for your insecurities. Now, let's go to bed. We have to go to work tomorrow. I had the luxury to stay at home and waste time. Don't do that!
Kate said that and casually went to the bedroom to sleep. I was stunned by how nonchalantly he dismissed my feelings. Hell, he couldn't even understand why I was reacting this way. Even after being home alone with me, he wouldn't accept that his words were hurtful. And he was still defending his mother. That night, I stayed on the couch and thought about things through and through. Everything was starting to make sense. I understood that I had been a fool, The Kate and his mother used me to fund their lives, but they never held any feelings for me at all. Kate's attitude towards today's events also told me something that I was in denial about. Kate was using me, and he didn't care about me anymore. I was just a money machine to him who gave him what he wanted. At that point, I knew that my marriage was becoming financially abusive for me. I knew that I needed to get out. The next day, Kate acted like nothing happened. It was like he had forgotten how he had insulted me the day before. I tried to talk to him about it again, but he kept shutting me down. I got so fed up that it was easier for me to make a decision. But before I did anything, I needed to call Kylie. I called her from my office and said, "Kylie, I need to talk to you about what happened last night. Thank you for being the only one who stood up for me at least a little."
Oh, don't mention that. Winter, it was a weak attempt to try and stop them. Kate and Mom can get cruel when they want. It was wrong of Kate to insult you like that just because he's the breadwinner.
Yeah, about that. Kylie, Kate has been lying to everyone about that one. He isn't the breadwinner, but I am. He left his job about 6 months ago. He hasn't told anyone.
Oh my god, so he was lying to everyone? Does Mom know about this?
Pauline had no idea that her son wasn't paying her allowance. It was me who was giving her money. Kate would never compromise his manly image even to his mother. So he has been lying to her as well.
I can't believe these people. Next winter. It's bad enough that I have to put up with them, but for you, it must be crazy.
Yes. Kylie, I am done being the ATM for Cade and Pauline. I have realized that Cade has just married me for money. He knew I was hungry for love and would do what he wanted.
Nej, for you speak him Aston. He would go a extra scanny. I'm endearing the ATM for Kate and Pauline. I have realized that Kate has just married me for money. Being you, I was hungry for love and would do what he wanted. And he got thank God. I saw his true face before wasting many more years than him.
Are you planning to do something? Winter, you can tell me. I will try to help you as much as I can. I understand your place. I have been suffering for years as well.
I told Kylie what I was planning to do. I wanted to teach Cade and Pauline a nice lesson for their horrible views on women, and I needed them to understand that they can't just use people how they want. So, I made a plan with Kylie and set out to execute it. Then, I went straight to a lawyer's office with a few things in mind. After I was done with that, I decided to wait for a week before executing the first half of my plan. When the week was up, I was prepared to start with Cade. He was the one going down first. Just 6 months into our marriage, I sat him down and said, "Katie, there is something important I need to talk about. You need to be patient and listen."
This better not be about that stupid family dinner again. I'm sure to buy Winchinities. Wait, it's starting to piss me off. You need to drop the issue and stop being dramatic. I hate dramatic women.
Well, in that case, I have some good news for you. Cade, you don't have to be with me anymore. I filed for the annulment of our marriage.
Wait, what's the past, Niles? No. You're joking with me. Why would you annul our marriage?
You still want to know why? Cade, it is because of you. First of all, you lied about being employed and tricked me into supporting your mooching lifestyle. When I still try to communicate with you, I discover that you don't even care about my feelings anymore. Might I also add that you did nothing to protect me from your mother?
Guys, let's get reality as showerly. I'm sure those were some minor inconveniences. We don't need to get an annulment just because of that.
Then what is your plan? Cade, I just want to string me along for a few years until you are fit to claim alimony from me. Those plans won't work anymore. Cade, I know exactly what kind of a man you are. You used me to support your mother's life. In return, you gave me nothing but insults and shame. Cade looked at my angry form and immediately started to apologize for his actions. He understood that I was not exactly the doormat he had always imagined me to be. Instead, I was a woman who knew how to stand up for herself. As soon as he heard annulment, he realized that his human ape-man was going to escape. So he started to plead with me. He had no idea what more I had in store for him.
Angel, please don't do this to us. We'd like to tremor the armor. We're so happy together. I just By now they don't have to destroy everything for a small mishap. Wow.
You call this a small mishap? For days, I've tried to talk to you about your actions. Cade, you ignored me every time and got mad at me for bringing it up. Not once did you even apologize for being such a prick. Our relationship was good until you decided to trick me into supporting you and your mother.
We can negotiate that. Judge korsenstronie. Vintian at Utcoin. Power the tears what this is. I am sorry. Nay, if I apologize to you, on the other arm. That's not what you have to. If
I don't want your filthy apology. The cage. I'm done with you, and we are getting an annulment. Oh, there is another thing I forgot to mention. I pulled out some documents from my bag and handed them to Cade. He was very confused about what I was showing him. When he read the papers, he was in shock again. He started to shake and said,
is this?
Yes, Cade. These documents are about our marriage, annulment, and your eviction notice. Since I informed you about the annulment, I thought I might as well give you the eviction papers too.
Oh, no. Vintia, ability. No, you can't kick me out. I'm Hammond's Ben's Aki Bime.
Where's your attention? Cade, I already told you that I have filed for annulment. Are you deaf or blind? You won't be my husband for much longer.
Just don't kick me out. I said yes, I sure spring you. Hey, where's the cast? I don't have anywhere else to go. You know, but we liking you. I can't tell Mom about me losing my job. That simply cannot happen. You angry, you two, if...
You had no problem lying to Pauline about your job. I'm sure you'll find a way. Because make up a story or something. As for your mom, she will no longer get any money from me, of course. Since I am a generous woman, I'm letting you figure out a plan before the month is up. I said my part and left Cade to fend for himself. I knew he would call Kylie for help. But as we have planned, she will deny him any kind of help. Kylie had suffered enough humiliation at the hands of Cade and Pauline. She was fed up with them and wanted to cut contact anyway. So, she was eager to proceed my plan. For the next month, Cade did everything in his power to make me change my mind. He turned very romantic and showered me with affection. He even bought me gifts with the last allowance I gave him. I simply left them in the main bedroom and went off to sleep in the guest room. I gave him the main bedroom as a last gift from my side. In a few days, he would probably have to kiss the cold street anyway. But to the very end, he was convinced that I wouldn't kick him out. Meanwhile, Pauline had no idea about what was going on. When the month was up and she didn't receive her allowance, she stormed into my house and said,
Why the hell didn't I get my allowance? Winter, I know it was you. You never liked the fact that Cade sent me money. You must have intentionally misplaced the money or stolen it.
Believe me, Pauline, I don't freaking care if your dear son wants to send you money. He can do so as he pleases. I don't need his money to feed or clothe myself.
You are lying. Cade has told everyone that you are dependent on him. You have already drained his account and have set your eyes on my money.
First of all, Pauline, it was never your money to begin with. Now that I say it, the money wasn't Cade's either. You need to stop saying that.
When will I stop saying that? My poor son works very hard to look after me. I will scream it to the world to tell everyone what a successful man he is.
Is that right? Polly? Then, what will you scream and tell the world when I tell you that Cade is unemployed and that I was the one sending you money?
That is nonsense. I will never believe it, and neither will others. Cade has told me that he is the breadwinner of this house. Right. Cade.
Cade remained quiet and looked down to the floor. Pauline was staring at him, expecting him to crack a joke about me or tell her how he is the breadwinner of this house. But this time, Cade remained silent. He knew that he could not keep lying for any longer. When Cade didn't speak for a while, Pauline said,
Cade, why are you not saying anything? Tell your wife I am right.
How will he say that? Polly, your useless son doesn't even have the guts to accept that he lives off his wife's income. Yes, I am the breadwinner and sole provider of this household. I was the one giving you money because Cade wanted to take care of his mom.
No, that can't be possible. My son is a man and won't depend on a woman. You are lying to me.
You will find out soon enough. Pauline, Since I am now seeking annulment of my marriage, you can enjoy being homeless with your son. I guess he didn't tell you this as well. It's been a month since I have given him an eviction notice. He will need to move out by next week. Hearing this, Colin starts to interrogate Cade about what I said. Since Cade realized that he couldn't hide the truth anymore, he told her the truth. After some back and forth, Cade admitted to the reality. Hearing this, Colin starts to interrogate Cade about what I said. Since Cade realized that he couldn't hide the truth anymore, he told her the truth. After some back and forth, Colleen realized that she had been dependent on me all along. Suddenly, she was begging me not to leave Cade and stop paying for their expenses. I laughed in their faces and reminded Pauline what she had thought of me last month. Pauline and Cade both started to apologize to me and begged me to change my mind. I simply turned and left. Until the next week, Cade and Pauline continued to pester me with their begging. When the week was up, I told Cade to leave my property or else I would call the police. He left with his things and moved in with Pauline. From what Kylie told me, they had been pestering her for money. After she firmly said no, they turned their attention back to me. I blocked their numbers and told Cade only to contact me through a lawyer. Cade and I got separated very easily. He didn't have the money to fight me in court, so he had to give in to the annulment. Last I heard, he and Pauline were being kicked out of her apartment after not paying rent for months. Since Kylie has cut contact with them and refused to send them money, they had to take turns crashing couches at other relatives' places. Even they were tired of hosting them for free, and their future was unsure. As for me, I am slowly rebuilding my life and learning to be content on Dayanon. I've promised myself never to fall into anyone's trap again and hope I will find my true soulmate soon. Hey there everyone! Grab a tissue or two, cause the story I'm about to share is a real tearjerker. Arik, I'm Sophie 25, and I feel like it's time for me to share what happened to me. I apologize in advance if this story's too depressing, but it's so crazy that I had to share it. I'm still reeling from it myself, to be honest. So let's dive in, shall we? Picture this, I was 18 and head over heels in love with my high school sweetheart. Girls. Yeah, I know, people said we were too young, but that didn't stop us. We tied the knot and thought we had it all figured out. Fast forward a few years, and there we were, living our lives as a married couple, doing all the couple things. Things were great, you know? And I knew that I could accomplish anything with my ride or die right by my side. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at you. One day, out of the blue, Ethan was gone. A car accident took him away from me, from his family, from everyone who loved him. It hit me like a freight train. The news, the grief, the overwhelming feeling that I was suddenly alone. I loved him. It hit me like a freight train. The news, the grief, the overwhelming feeling that I was suddenly alone. It hit me like a freight train. The news, the grief, the overwhelming feeling that I was suddenly alone. For a while, I was lost in a sea of sadness. My days were dark, and it felt like a heavy cloud was hanging over me, making it hard to breathe. Ethan had been my rock, my everything, and now he was gone. The funeral was beautiful, and all of us were brought closer by the whole ordeal. The coroner said that his body was so damaged and burnt up that they had to cremate him. Each of us, me, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law as well as other family members, got the chance to get a little piece of Ethan with us. I decided to put him into a necklace that I'd never take off so that he'd be close to me in some way. About a month after his passing, I found myself in bed, a mess of tears and memories. It was one of those moments when the weight of the world was just too much to bear. This was the norm. I even quit my job because nothing felt worth living anymore. So yeah, one day I was in bed, wallowing as was custom. And then, like a lightning bolt, my phone started buzzing like crazy. I glanced at the caller ID, and there it was. Linda, my sister-in-law. Hello. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Here I was, a mess of emotions, and Linda's angry voice was the last thing I expected. I dragged myself out of bed, wiped my tears, and stumbled to the front door. There she was, arms crossed, looking like she meant business. Linda, what's going on?
Look, Sophie, I know he's here somewhere. I don't know why he would do this to us, but I know he's here.
So there I was, staring at Linda in utter confusion and disbelief. I thought for a moment that maybe the grief had gotten to her, that maybe she had lost her marbles. Linda, you can't seriously think that Ethan is here, right? He's carnicotzed. He's gone. You know this. I'm in sit. Let's talk about this. But Linda was adamant, like a detective on a mission. She looked me in the eye and said she didn't know what to believe anymore. So, I sighed, asked her to sit down again, and attempted to make her understand that Ethan was no longer with us, that he was really, truly gone. Linda, it's been a month. Ethan passed away, and we have to accept that. I don't know what you're accusing me of, but I can't play along with this. Grief can mess with our heads. I know that, but we can't let it make us imagine crazy things. We can't let it take control. Sophie, don't talk to me like I'm a crazy person. I know what I saw, and I swear to God, if you two thought that this was some funny prank you could pull on us, then you've got another thing coming. Linda, I don't know what you're saying. Please explain. I saw him. Sophie, I saw him at that cafe on 5th Street. It was him. I know it was him. Don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. I took them picture. I felt a chill run down my spine. She pulled out her phone and showed me a picture that shouldn't exist. At first, I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me. Again, grief can make us do crazy things. But that wasn't it. This felt too real. Then I thought that it was a doppelganger. People can look like other people, right? But the similarities were too uncanny. I then concluded that that was indeed Ethan, wearing a hoodie, sitting in a cafe. My heart pounded as I looked at the date of the photo. Just 2 days ago.
What is pepper sweaters, Ness? Shibarao. How is this even possible?
It was like I had seen a ghost. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. And then reality came crashing back, and I realized Linda didn't mean to accuse me. She genuinely thought she had seen Ethan alive and well. Sophie, I'm sorry. I really thought that you knew that he was still alive. I actually thought that you helped him fake his death. She was on the verge of tears, and I found myself struggling to hold it together too. Linda explained how she had seen Ethan through the cafe window, snapped the picture, and sent it to our family group chat. Everyone denied knowing anything about Ethan faking his death, except me. I hadn't responded. She thought I was in on it, that I was helping Ethan live this lie.
Linda, large deceptions. I swear, I just said it's meeting. I had no idea. I thought he was gone. Please, tell me, I'm letting you know. And I'm sorry for not responding.
There I was, huddled with Linda, trying to make sense of it all. Linda explained that all she knew was that she had seen Ethan in that cafe, sent the picture to our family chat, and asked if he was pulling some bizarre prank. But now with what Linda had just revealed, it meant that nobody knew about this Sybil. Ethan had lied to everyone. I knew about this. Ethan had lied to everyone.
That we would do something like this.
As we clung to each other, tears streaming down our faces, a mixture of sadness and anger began to swell within us. We were left wondering what on earth could drive Ethan to concoct such a stupid ruse. I thought I was losing my mind. I wanted to approach him, but I was scared. That's why I took the picture, so others could see what I was seeing, so that I could know for sure that I wasn't just imagining things. At that moment, our shared sadness shifted into something else, a fiery rage that we couldn't suppress. We tossed around speculations like a game of emotional ping-pong. Sure, Ethan had been a prankster and had a knack for getting on people's nerves to mess with them, but this was a new low, and we were left grappling with the weight of his actions.
I can't believe you would put us through this. What could he possibly have gained from making us think he was dead? All of us.
Linda's voice trembled as she spoke, her anger mirroring my own, and then, amid our confusion and fury, it hit us like a bolt of lightning. We were way out of our depths here. We couldn't just unravel this on our own. We needed help, professional help.
Well, we can't do this alone. We need to find out the truth, and that means we need to get a private investigator involved.
Linda's eyes met mine, and in that gaze, we shared a newfound determination. We were going to dig deep, uncover the layers of deception, and finally get the answers we deserved. The roller coaster had taken a wild twist, hurtling us towards a truth that was more complex and shocking than we could have ever anticipated. And, well, we were ready to face whatever lay ahead, with a little help, of course. So, with our newfound determination and Linda's connections, we managed to get ourselves a top-notch private investigator. The real deal. Honestly, if this story were a movie, this is probably where the music would start getting suspenseful. Weeks rolled by, and we were getting antsy. I'd received sporadic updates from Linda, but for about 2 weeks, it felt like we were stuck in limbo. I was itching for some resolution, some answers, And then finally, the private investigator called Linda with a big break. Friends turns out, Ethan wasn't just chilling somewhere twiddling his thumbs. No, he'd gone the whole 9 yards, adopting a new name. Let's call him Alexei. A new passport and an entirely new identity. Yeah, we're talking witness protection level stuff. The private investigator managed to get more pictures, and sure enough, it was Ethan, albeit with dyed hair. And a clean-shaven face. The disguise might have fooled a casual passerby, but not us. Not the people who loved him. Linda and I convened with the family and spilled the tea on what we'd been discovering. The collective reaction was something straight out of a soap opera. You know, the dramatic gasps and raised eyebrows. It was like we were all characters in some wild movie plot. But this was no movie. It was real life. And we needed answers. The PI didn't stop there. He was relentless, trying to uncover the motives behind Ethan's fake death and his new identity. It was like peeling back layers of an onion, and each discovery just led to more questions. And then another breakthrough. The PI reported that Ethan's sorry. Alex had a hangout spot, a lounge he'd frequent during the week. He seemed harmless, not engaging in any dangerous activities, so the PI reassured us that it was safe to approach him. We were on guard, trust me. 911 on speed dial and everything. Linda and I put our heads together, making a plan to finally confront Ethan HELX and get to the bottom of this mess. We had so many questions, and we were hoping against hope that our crazy theory was wrong, that we were somehow mistaken about everything. But there was an undeniable thrill coursing through our veins. It was time to face the ghost that had returned from the dead, and well, let's just say we were as ready as we could be. So there we were. Linda and I, stepping into that lounge like we were 2 characters from some suspense movie. We scanned the place, and there he was, lurking in the shadows, nursing a sad-looking beer. Ethan Alex was cornered, and he knew it. Those widened eyes spoke volumes as he realized who was confronting him. 2 very pissed-off women who needed explanations pronto. He blinked in surprise, then regained his composure enough to mutter, "I guess I deserved that." But let me tell you, any composure we were trying to maintain evaporated into thin air as Linda and I unleashed a verbal assault. We didn't hold back, demanding to know just what the heck he thought he was doing. Honestly, the situation was so absurd. It felt like we were living in a sitcom, except nobody was laughing. Then came the sobbing. Ethan's defenses crumbled, and he confessed that he had dug himself into a hole so deep, he wasn't sure how he would get out. He messed up, and he knew it. I could hardly believe my ears as he spilled the beans. He had been having an affair with some valley girl named Stacy. You know the type, partying hard, doing drugs, hitting up underground fight clubs, the whole shebang. Things escalated real fast when Stacy turned up pregnant. Ethan tried to bail, but this girl, Stacy, was no pushover. She had a billionaire daddy who would kill for her, so he wasn't exactly the warm and fuzzy type. She threatened to make Ethan's life a living hell if he didn't play nice, and build a nice life with her because she wanted to be wifed up. Just when I thought the crazy train had reached its final stop, Ethan hit us with the grand finale. He looked at me, guilt plastered all over his face, and mumbled out an apology. He explained that he was sorry, not just for the affair, but for faking his own death and dragging me into this chaotic mess. I was stunned, furious, and heartbroken all at once. It's like I couldn't process the whirlwind of emotions that hit me. And then without even thinking, my fist met his cheek, and the sound echoed through the lounge. It was the punch heard round the world, or at least around that lounge. And in that moment, I wasn't sure whether to scream, cry, or storm out of there. All I knew was that this crazy saga was far from over. So there we were, facing Ethan or Alex or whatever he wanted to call himself now. I could hardly wrap my head around the mess he dragged us all into. Linda's eyes bored into him, and she finally asked $1 million question. He looked back at her with a mixture of guilt and desperation, and all he could manage to say was, "They're going to chop off my jewels, Lynn. I had to run away, and I couldn't put you guys in danger. That's why I'm laying low. That's why I faked my death so that you could all be rid of me and my stupidity. I knew you'd all do just fine without me. That's not your call to make. Vince, we loved you. We mourned you. And you did this to us. Tell me why I shouldn't kill you myself. Please, you have to understand. How did you even come up with the money to accomplish all of this? If it's to make it seem so real." Reality sunk in as he began to explain how he'd managed to orchestrate this entire insane charade. He spilled the beans, revealing that Stacy was somewhat of a sugar mama to him, and so she'd give him insane amounts of cash, which he used to fund his little disappearing act. The car wrecked the stories in the news. Even the coroner's report, all of it was staged. And then he'd used the money to create a whole new identity for himself. I couldn't help but ask,
I stick around in the city if you knew you were in danger. Crisp progressions. Good. Why not flee to another country or something?
Ethan sighed, a mix of frustration and resignation on his face. He explained that the plan had been to meet up with the guy who was supposed to help him escape the country, right here in this very lounge. But the guy hadn't shown up yet. Function according to Ethan, this connect didn't do phones to avoid exposure. He told Ethan to show up at the bar every night for a week, and he'd eventually make an appearance. I scoffed at his explanation.
And what if this guy never shows up? Where you get caught and you get your precious jewels chopped off, like you said?
Ethan just shook his head, his eyes welling up with tears again. I'm so sorry. Sophie, please, you have to believe me. I messed up big time, but I never wanted any of this. Linda, please. I know you're upset, but please understand where I'm coming from. How about we rewind to last month when you were dead? Because there's no way that I'm gonna accept you now. Ray, you're dead to me? Ritz, I hope that they catch you. She just got up and walked away. Ethan called out after her, his voice desperate, but she left him there with me. As for me, I wasn't about to let him off the hook that easily. I still had questions burning in my mind. So, I looked him dead in the eyes and asked,
Why did you cheat on me? Dang! Oh,
He looked down at his hands, tears falling onto the table as he tried to find the words. It was a messy mix of apologies, guilt, and regret. He didn't have a good excuse, just admitted that he was weak and got caught up in something he should never have let happen. At that moment, as I stared at the man I'd once called my husband, I realized that the story was far from over. The mess he'd created was bigger than any of us could have imagined, and the web of lies and deception was unraveling in ways I could hardly comprehend. Working out of that bar, leaving Ethan behind with his tears and his guilt, I was so furious that I could barely see straight. The anger churned within me like a storm that... I got back to the car, slammed the door shut, and gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I muttered to myself, he's going to pay for this. He's going to regret the day he ever cheated on me. And so, with that determination fueling my actions, I did the unthinkable. The next day, I tipped off the tabloids about the entire insane situation, how my supposedly dead husband had faked his own death just to escape the consequences of his actions, as well as providing them with pictures from the pie. The story spread like wildfire through the city. After all, it's not every day that you hear about someone faking their own death, especially not for something so absurd as evading a cheating scandal. I didn't hold back. I laid it all out there for the world to see, how I had been the loving and devoted wife, only to discover that my husband had played me like a fool. The tabloids ate it up, and soon the entire city was buzzing about the tale of the man who faked his own death. Just with the help of the B.I. Ethan's secrets unraveled faster than he could ever imagine. It turned out that his grand plan was crumbling because his connect wanted nothing to do with him once his wife had blown his cover. And just like that, Ethan went from being a man who faked his death to avoid consequences to a man who was publicly exposed for his lies and deceit. Ethan's world quickly crumbled around him. He became a social outcast, shunned by his family and friends, his reputation in tatters. It seemed like justice was served, but then, just as suddenly as he'd reappeared in our lives, Ethan vanished once again. This time, it felt more permanent, like he'd been swallowed up by the very lie he'd created. That he doesn't east, rumors swirled, but it seemed like his past had finally caught up to him. This time in a way that even he couldn't escape. Linda and us were left wondering about his fate, as to whether he was even alive or not, whether he was finally facing the consequences he'd tried so hard to evade. I mean, when you mess with billionaires, anything can happen. Maybe he had him locked in a dungeon somewhere, jewels missing so that he could never escape again. In the end, all I could feel was a strange sense of relief. I'd exposed the truth, no matter how messy or unbelievable it was. And for that, I was grateful because it meant I could restart my life without any drama and mess. I'm Paulina and 28 years old. Boy oh boy, do I have a story for you guys? This is the type of story that's gonna make you laugh, cringe, and maybe even shake your head in disbelief. So there's me, Paulina ready to spill the beans on how I went from 2 failed marriages to finding true love with my man. Chillin'. I'm talking about the real deal here. Sean got me in a way that no one ever did. He was like the missing puzzle piece that suddenly made my life make sense. It was like all those rom-com cliches had come to life, and I was loving every minute of it. But of course, there's always a little drama in the mix, right? Enter Sean's twin sister, Hannah. Now let me tell you, she's a whole different story. Bitter attention-seeking, and just downright annoying. I mean, the girl practically had Drama Queen tattooed on her forehead. Wedding preparations were in full swing, and guess who decided to insert herself right into the chaos? You got it. Hannah. Suddenly, she was an expert on flowers, venues, and cake flavors. Next lake girl, calm down. You're not the bride here. Sean, bless his heart, would tell me to just let it slide and let her have her moments because she was excited. But man, oh man, there was only so much I could take. Picture this, a cake tasting, not your memories, Hannah and her boyfriend Yorn. Please don't ask me why we agreed to bring them along with us. We're all sitting there ready to sample some sweet goodness. And then it happened. Hannah started with her suggestions on which flavor would be the best. I don't know if it was the stress or the sugar high, but I lost it right there in front of everyone. John, Hannah, Stern, they all got a front row seat to me, snapping like a rubber band. I told Hannah how it was, how this was my wedding, not hers. I may or may not have used a few choice words in the process.
Bina, this is fornication. Compound are not beef meat, Joe. I really like the raspberry filling. I think it would go so well with the vanilla sponge. Yeah, that's...
Oh really, Tina? Because I was thinking the complete opposite. Come on guys, can we not turn this into a debate? Well, I just thought since I have a good eye for these things. Tina. Hannah, for the love of all things sweet, this is my wedding, not yours. Can you for 1 second let me make decisions about my own day?
Hannah, for the love of all things sweet, this is my wedding, not yours. Can you for 1 second let me make decisions about my own day? No, son, this needs to be said. Hannah, I get it, you want to be involved, but this isn't your wedding. It's mine, and I've enough of you acting like you're the one getting married.
Excuse me, mask factory.
Right, you heard me? I'm tired of your constant suggestions, your opinions, and your need to make everything about you. This is my moment, my day, and I won't let you take that away from me. No, son, this has to be said. Hannah, I respect you're his sister, but that doesn't give you the right to overshadow me and my choices. So do us all a favor and back off.
I'm just trying to help.
Help? No, you're trying to control everything. But guess what? This isn't your show. So either you respect that or you leave.
Maybe we should go.
Yeah, I think that's best. Goodbye.
Hannah turned 50 shades of red, and Bjorn looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. And that's how it went down, folks. I laid it all out there and told Hannah what was what. Sometimes, you've got to put people in their place, especially when they're trying to hijack your big day. Alright, buckle up, folks, because this story is far from over. So after the whole cake tasting showdown, Sean and I finally got home. But you know what? Sean wasn't exactly thrilled about how I had lost my cool back there. Sean, she needed someone to put her in her place. If he had stood up for me earlier, maybe it wouldn't have come to this. Yeah, you heard that right. I was standing my ground, unapologetic for finally telling Hannah off. And honestly, she had it coming. You can only deal with someone's drama for so long before you explode like a shaken soda can. She was asking for it at that point. A few more weeks rolled by, and peace had finally returned to our lives. Hannah wasn't around to insert her opinions into every little thing, and I was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, my perfect wedding was actually going to happen. But, and oh boy, isn't there always a but in these stories? I received a text from Hannah. At first, I thought maybe she was apologizing or trying to make amends. But oh no, it was something else entirely. She texted,
I don't want you anywhere near the wedding, okay? I'm planning on proposing to Bjorn, and I don't need you ruining things. I'm kid that you're Eric's real dad. Just leave me.
Confused doesn't even begin to cover what I was feeling. Like what? Proposing? Eric's real dad? Did she send this to the wrong person? Instead of replying right away, I did what any sane person would do. I screenshotted that message and put my phone away. You see, sometimes silence is the best response. And this was a whole new level of Hannah's drama. And honestly, I wasn't about to dive headfirst into it. Nope. I was gonna sit back, let the confusion simmer and watch from the sidelines. But she did say one thing that made my ears perk up. Propose at the wedding? Certainly, she didn't mean my wedding, because I would go ballistic. I don't know about y'all, but nothing grinds my gears more than people proposing at other people's weddings. Have you no shame? That is someone else's special day. And you want to take advantage of all the glitz and the glam to propose and take the attention away from the couple. Some people need some serious therapy. I was growing angry as I was trying to connect the dots, and what I concluded was that this person who Hannah originally wanted to text was in fact her son's biological father. This is crazy to think about, because this entire time we all believed it was Bjorn who was the father of her baby. Drink. Chile. The teat. Achnate. I kept this to myself. I probably should have told Shon about it, but I knew that he would wanna take the high road and gather everyone for some kimbayi. Oshmi, on the other hand, I was feeling a little petty, a little violent if you will, and if this heifer thought that she could get away with proposing at my wedding, then she got another thing coming. But I had to find out some more information. I had to know who she was talking to. So I decided to meet up with her. Alright, hang on tight, because we're about to dive into the next chapter of this roller coaster ride. So there I was, plotting my next move after receiving that cryptic text from Hannah about proposing to Bjorn and telling me to stay away from the wedding. And trust me, I had a trick up my sleeve. I decided to meet up with Hannah too. Well, fake apologies for my little outburst at the cake tasting. You should seen her face light up when I suggested it. She was probably thinking she had won or something, but little did she know. I was playing chess, not checkers. Well, Hannah was off to use the restroom. I seized the opportunity. Yep, you guessed it. I sneaked a peek at her phone. I had a feeling that there was more to her story, and I was ready to uncover it. My heart was racing. My hands were shaky, but I had to do it. I needed answers. First things first. I searched for the name Eric. And there it was, a chat between her and me, where she sent the text that she still hadn't deleted, honestly. It's like she wanted to get caught, but right beneath it was another chat. Paul. Bingo. I found a new lead. I quickly opened the chat, scanning through the messages. There was a lot of talk about Eric, but I couldn't focus on it properly. I was too afraid that Hannah might return and catch me in the act. So what did I do? I took a screenshot of Paul's number and put Hannah's phone back exactly where I found it. Mission accomplished. Now, I could investigate this Paul guy on my own terms. Hannah returned, and I had to keep on the fake smile I plastered on for her. It felt like this was lasting forever, but finally, it was over. After Hannah got her fake reassurance, we parted ways and went to our respective homes. Phones. I was safe and sound. I grabbed my own phone and dialed the number. The suspense was killing me, and I needed to know what was going on. Who was this Paul, and what was his connection to Hannah? My heart was pounding as I waited for him to answer. After snagging Paul's number from Hannah's phone, I decided it was time to make the call. I was home alone, surrounded by silence and a whole lot of suspense. My fingers dialed the digits, and my heart was pounding like a drum. Hello, is this Paul?
Yeah, who's this?
And with a deep breath, I launched into the heart of the matter. I asked him if he knew Hannah and Eric, and what he revealed had my jaw on the floor. Paul, the guy on the other end of the line, was Hannah's ex and Eric's father. The plot was thicker than a Shakespearean drama, confirming my suspicions. Wait, so you're Eric's dad?
Yeah, that's right. Why do you ask?
Well, I'm Paulina, and I'm with San. Hannah's my sister-in-law. The pieces started falling into place, and as I connected the dots, I realized what had happened. Hannah had meant to text Paul, not me. And in her haste or confusion, she had sent that text about wanting Paul nowhere near the wedding and denying him as Eric's real dad to me instead. Talk about a text message mix-up of epic proportions. I took a deep breath and shared the text message with Paul. Let me tell you, he was not happy. He was upset that Hannah had stooped so low as to deny him as Eric's real dad. But that wasn't all. He dropped a bombshell. He was still in love with her. Even and after everything, he still had feelings for the woman who had caused so much confusion and chaos. Oh my god, this all makes sense now. Our names are so similar, Paulina and Paul.
Yeah, I can see how that could happen. We've been fighting recently because I wanted to get back with her, but she's been denying me, talking big about this Bjorn guy who she's apparently in love with. I get wanting to get back together, but lying about paternity.
She's crazy. I don't even know how you had a baby with her.
What can I say? Love can make you do stupid things. So now you think she's gonna propose at your wedding, right?
Unless there's another upcoming wedding she's referring to. I believe she's gonna do it at mine. Yes. Paul was cursing on the other line. Frustrated, no doubt. This was a lot to handle. I'm sorry you're dealing with all of this. Huh.
Yeah, it's a mess.
After my little chat with Paul, I had a plan. A plan that involved turning the tables on Hannah and making her sweat for a change. And you see, it's revenge, you say? Oh yeah, revenge never tasted so sweet. So instead of outright confronting Hannah with the news of my discovery, I decided to play it cool. Oh, but it wasn't just any cool. It was the calm before the storm. I told Paul that we would act like we knew nothing, that our revenge would be much sweeter if we stuck to the plan we were concocting. Let's play this smart. We're not giving her the satisfaction yet.
I'm all in, Paulina. Let's make her squirm.
After some more scheming and a bit of laughter, we hung up. Little did Hannah know that she had just activated her own downfall. Fast forward a month, and it was the big day, the wedding day. Sean and I were all smiles after the ceremony, celebrating with friends and family. Everything was picture perfect, and even the weather was cooperating. I excused myself to freshen up during the reception, waiting patiently for the plan to fall into place. And sure enough, who should come waltzing in, wearing that wicked grin of hers? None other than Han herself.
Oh, but Paulina, how's the newly wife treating you?
So you know, just enjoying every moment.
Oh, I've got some up my sleeve too. And now it's Travis.
Ah, here it was. The moment of truth. Hannah was about to drop her bomb, and she was convinced that I would crumble. But you know what? Revenge had made me stronger, and here it was. The moment of truth. Hannah was about to drop her bomb, and she was convinced that I would crumble. But you know what? Revenge had made me stronger, and I was ready. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to propose to Bjorn. And guess what? Paulina, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop me. I'm going to steal your moment and embarrass you the same way you embarrassed me.
All that pictorial? Honey, are you still upset that I put you in your place?
Put me in my place? You think I'm some kid or something? Do you know, I almost wanted to call it off. But now that you've said that, I'm going to propose and steal your thunder. Surprise, surprise, I didn't flinch. Instead, I let out a little chuckle that seemed to infuriate her even more. Revenge was sweet, but revenge with a side of calm. Now that was a whole new level.
Well, Tina, I'm truly impressed by your determination. Go ahead, do your thing.
And just like that, she was left baffled, her wicked grin faltering as I brushed her off. She stuttered something about how embarrassed I would be, but I just waved her off as she stormed out of the room. Once she left, I called Paul and told him that the plan was a go, and it was time to shine. After that cunning conversation with Paul and my oh-so-satisfying exchange with Hannah, it was time to put my plan into action. And let me tell you, I was ready to bring the house down. Instead leaving the room, I took a deep breath and headed back to the scene. Hannah had everyone's attention. She was up to something and she was about to make her big announcement. But there was one little thing she hadn't counted on. The storm that was about to hit. Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention? I caught her eyes, and my own smirk was a mirror of hers. But before she could dive into her speech about love and commitment, the doors burst open, causing a stir of commotion. Who else but Paul, storming into the hall like a tempest?
Hannah, we need to talk.
In a matter of seconds, the room was buzzing with whispers and hushed conversations, everyone wondering what in the world was going on. Hannah's confident facade faltered as her face paled, clearly caught off guard by Paul's unexpected entrance. Desperate to regain control of the situation, and Hannah attempted to divert the attention from the disturbance. She started spouting nonsense about the weather and some random anecdotes, but it was clear she was grasping at straws. As Hannah stammered through her attempt at damage control, I took my chance. With a determined stride, I marched up to her and snatched the microphone right out of her hand. The room fell silent, and all eyes were on me.
Thank you. Tina, it's always great to hear your interesting stories.
I saw confusion in Sean's eyes, Stern's eyes, and even in the eyes of everyone else in the room. Thorie's picture? This was it, the moment of truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're all curious about what's happening. Hannah was about to propose to her baby daddy, which is all well and good. And I'm so sorry for spoiling the moment, but I think it's important for everyone to know the truth. A hushed tension filled the room, and you could practically feel the collective curiosity of every single person there.
The tension in the room was thicker than a stack of pancakes, and the spotlight was shining brightly on Hannah. Revenge was about to bring the truth to light, and oh boy, it was a sight to behold. Paul strode up to the stage, a force to be reckoned with, and he had the receipts to prove it. With a triumphant grin, he held up a stack of papers, paternity test results, and documents of child support payments showcasing that he was Eric's real dad. The room was so still you could hear a pin drop, and everyone's eyes were glued to the evidence in Paul's hands.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you as Eric's real father. And I wanted y'all to know that Hannah is one of the most despicable, conniving women I've ever met. To tease Duxteses and Bradforda, I don't really know you, but Paulina and I thought it was best if you knew the truth before getting tied down to her, because I guarantee you, it's gonna be hell.
The gasps and whispers rippled through the crowd, and the shock was palpable. Hannah's face turned white as a sheet, and her eyes were wide with panic. She tried to snatch the microphone from Paul, but he held his ground.
John, that doesn't she ate this. It's mine. I know my X Games.
But the room wasn't buying it. Paulina and I had the stage now, and it was time to lay it all out on the table. I took a deep breath and addressed the room.
Hannah, looks like you got a lot of explaining to do. The crowd leaned in, hanging on to every word. Revenge was about to serve up its main course, the unvarnished truth.
You see, we found out about Paul and his connection to Eric through an unexpected text message. I'd like to read that text for you all. I revealed my phone and read out Hannah's text message, the one where she denied Paul's role as Eric's father and talked about her plan to propose to Bjorn. Oh boy, her face turned the brightest shade of red, and the realization of her own blunder hit her like a ton of bricks. The room erupted into a chorus of boos, hisses, and murmurs. The jig was up, and Hannah was exposed for the schemer she was. She crumbled before her eyes, tears streaming. Meanwhile, Chern didn't utter a word. He simply turned on his heel and left the event, his anger and disappointment evident in every step. And as for Sean, well, he let loose a torrent of shouted accusations at Hannah for all her lies and deception, calling her down from the stage and giving her a verbal ear-beating. As the truth came crashing down, me and Paul shared a knowing look. Revenge had done its job, and Hannah's carefully constructed facade had crumbled to pieces, leaving behind a woman who was finally facing the consequences of her actions. Hannah kept on looking at me with a look of pure disdain as Sean was shouting. The Mick tried to do damage control by letting the guests return to their seats and get some more food. I blew a kiss and winked at Hannah, letting her know that she could never try and upstage me. One thing about me is that when people go low, I go even lower, all the way to hell. And that girl learned not to play with me that day. I'll tell you that. Turns out I had the perfect wedding after all. I married my husband, and I got some good entertainment too.